welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Good. I'm a pianist and composer, and today we are going to talk about Wwise. Well, why am I using Wwise? What is Wwise? Wwise is a tool for interactive media or interactive music. I'm working on an app. I have an app called Here and Now African Diaspora Trivia. I will put the link in the description so you guys can check it out if you like. With the app, I needed to create music it's a mobile app. I needed music for the app, but I needed the music to be flexible. Wwise enabled that to happen. Without Wwise, yes, I could have added music to the app, but it would have been a lot more difficult. With Wwise, it makes things amazingly easy, especially if you're a musician or composer and you're used to working in DAWs like Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, any of those. Wwise is absolutely incroyable. French for incredible. All right, so anyway, hit the like button if you like this video. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. But right now, let's dig into it, and we are going to talk about Wwise. Okay, so one of the things that this is Wwise. I know it looks kind of crazy when you first look at it, but there is a lot going on here. But it's kind of like if you look at a mixer for the first time. You're like, what the heck is all this stuff? Anyway, with Wwise is the same way. I had the same reaction, but I'm going to tell you, it's amazing. We're going to start over here in the left-hand window, the Project Explorer. You have a couple things going on here. You have audio devices, you have the master mixer, you know what that is already. You have the actor mixer. Okay, this is important. What is the actor mixer? Okay, so for the app, or if you're working on a game, it's any interaction. Anything that if the user is going to click on something, whatever the user might do, like a button click. We'll just leave it at a button click. So that button click can trigger different things. And depending on where the button click is, it can trigger even different things. Okay, if that makes any sense. All right, so if we come over here, we look at the actor mixer. And I come down here, we have a book room category select. We have just a regular button click, a failed purchase, purchases, right answers, and wrong answers. What are all of these? If I dig into them, like I'll come down here to basically a right answer. You can have, okay, so this is the sound for the right answer. So if I hit the space bar or hit here, we hear the bass sound, okay? You can have multiple sounds inside of Wwise, and these are like, you have what are called switches. So if I right click and I go to parent, let me come up here. I'm gonna right click, go to child. You can have just a regular switch container. You can have a randomized container. What is a randomized container? So if I come down here, and I added multiple sounds in here, Wwise would decide which sound to click or to play for the right answer. That is pretty amazing. So if I come down here to wrong answers, okay, right now there's only one, but there's others where there's multiple. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the actor mixer today. Today I want to talk to you guys about the interactive music mixer, which is really quite cool. So I come down here to the interactive music mixer. Okay, we have a couple of things going on right here. Right here, this is what's called a switch. And with the switch, basically you can switch between different elements or different states within the music. But even before we get to there, this is a playlist. I named it Z playlist. It's pretty obvious. It's a playlist. But you don't see anything change over here. So let me jump over. I'm going to switch the layout to interactive music. Now you see something different. Right here, this is the playlist. This can be handled just like your Spotify playlist or any other playlist that you might have. You would basically drag like a segment, drop it in, and then you can tell it if you want it to play infinitely, if you want it to loop, I don't know, 2 times, or not at all. So I'm going to just delete that for right now. Okay, and then up here, which is, I know it looks pretty daunting at first, but if you look closer, this is a voice, volume, low pass filter, high pass filter, makeup gain, All of these things are things that you've seen in your DAW, like Cubase, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, any of those. So that's pretty simple. But what I want to do here is come over here. I'm going to click on there, and basically these are all of the tracks within this music segment. Okay, if I open this up, wow, right there you have the name and the list of each track name. If I come over here, it's the representative track. So I'm going to hit play for a second. Just like any other DAW, you hit play, it plays all the tracks at the same time. But inside of Wwise, there's something that's really cool that you can do. So let's say we come over here. Which one do I want? All right, where is that at? There is a choir. There's some vocals right here. Okay, so this right here, solo. Okay, you hear the choir right there. What if I decided that I don't want the boys choir to play all the time? I only want it to play once in a while. Inside of Wwise, all you have to do, right click. You can say either random, sequence, or switch. We're going to stick with random or sequence right now. I'm going to say random. Boom, what did it just do? It created another track, so I can come down here and go, whoa, what is this? I can add a subtrack. So that means what happens here is now I have two tracks, and Wwise is going to decide if it's going to play the track with the vocals, the or if it's not going to play anything at all. Or I could have other tracks. So if I hit play, I set it to random, so if I hit play, you don't hear the choir anymore. But if I stop it and I play it again, you still don't hear it. Hold on, play it again. At some point we should hear it. There we go. You can hear it. So what's happening is Wwise is deciding. I have two tracks. I have one empty track and one with vocals on it. Wwise is deciding which track it wants to play. Of course, it's computer. It's randomly generated via the computer, but it works within the timing of the music, which is really cool. So that's just one track. Let me come over here to another track. Let's see. Let's see what this one is. Okay, yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, what if I don't want this to play all the time? All right, I can do the same thing. I can come over here and I can give it a random. Oh, you know what? This time I'm going to give it a sequence. What's a sequence versus random? And I'm going to add a subtrack. Sequence means it's going to play the first track and then the second track, or and then the third track, or however many tracks you have within this group or segment. So I don't want the bass to play the first time. I want it to play the second time. So watch what happens. So now if I'm combining that along with what's going on down here with the vocals, and let's see what happens. We hear that, we hear the vocals, we don't hear the bass. I'm gonna stop it and start it. We hear the bass. We don't hear the vocals. And that is the beauty with Wwise, because this can be happening, like you can have it loop infinitely and there can be infinite variations. So if this is the ambient music. So now if I come over here, this is a score page, let me delete that, and I'm gonna drag this music segment down here and I'm gonna loop it. I'll just say infinite right now. Okay, I'm gonna set the loop points before I do that. So the in and the out. For right now, I'm gonna loop it right there. I'll loop it right here. This isn't gonna be a perfect loop. It's gonna be, but this is just so you guys can get an idea of what's going on. All right, so I come back over here. All right, now I'm going to come over here. We're going to play it again, the playlist. The loop's not going to be perfect, but take a listen. No bass. The bass is in. The choir is gone. The boys' choir is gone on that loop. Now it's going to loop. So like I said, it's not a perfect loop right there, but you're hearing the variations and the randomization of what's going on. We still have the different tracks. I can add another subtrack. And basically I could have two subtracks, or I could decide, okay, well, I want this track, or I want something else to play. First I want it to be empty, then I want something else to play. It's like infinite, the things that you can do, and it makes it a lot more flexible when you're working with game music, either for a mobile platform or for anything, for a game console, etc. The other thing that we're not going to get into today are what are called states, but you can basically switch things based on the state. And if you come down here, like, yeah, we're not going to talk about states today, but so this is one of the ideas, one of the musical ideas that we're going into the app that I have, African Diaspora Trivia. The other musical idea is right here, which is and so that one pretty much won out. But it's done the same way. So this Z playlist was basically something I created to show you guys. But if I were to come up here and I go to game music, and I can play right here. So that's the music that's actually in the game. Music that I really love though is here, but it didn't win out. So anyway, the cool thing about Wwise is like you have states, positioning, effects, stingers. You can have transitions. So if I come over here, I can set each transition for the different states. If I wanted to transition immediately, if you wanted to basically go from the next bar, the next grid, the next beat, etc. And you can also say where it's going to sync to. So the power that for a musician, what Wwise does for interactive music, I mean, music can loop for hours and there can be infinite variations. So I know this is just a brief introduction to Wwise, but I wanted to share it with you guys, and hopefully you got something out of it. I'll give a more in-depth discussion later. But anyway, I just wanted to introduce Wwise to you guys and say, you know, it's an amazing, amazing program. So, all right, I hope you guys have a great week, and see you next time.